Hi guys, Lisa here from Recreated Designs again, and I'm so glad to be back with you this afternoon. I'm coming to you live from up in Ottawa, Canada, and I don't know about you, but I am so ready for spring. So today we're going to make a spring wreath to hang on your front door or in your house that's got a little different twist to it than the normal wreath that you would make. So we're going to make a picture frame wreath today. And we would love to know where you're joining us from, so be sure to type that in and let us know, and we'll be sure to call some of those out during our live broadcast. So to make our picture frame wreath for your front door, we're going to start with a picture frame. And you can find picture frames everywhere. They're at the Goodwill, thrift store, garage sales, and you can usually get them for next to nothing. So I have a few here that I found at the thrift store, and you can see they're all different sizes. And you can just pick one that works for the size of your door. So they all have different designs on them too. So find one that you really like and that you're kind of drawn to the design of. Okay. And I think I'm going to start today with, I'm going to use this nice, actually I'm going to use this one, the brown one. So we'll put these ones aside. And you can see I picked it up at the thrift store for $1, and it has this picture in it. So to get our frame ready to make our wreath, the first thing we need to do is take the glass and the backing off of the frame. So I'm going to just pop out the staples here.
Oh, we got people joining from India.
Oh, wow.
South Carolina.
So Brad's behind the camera today, and he said we've got people joining us from India and South Carolina, and thank you for taking time to join us. If you're just tuning in, we're going to make a spring wreath for your front door or your house out of an old picture frame. So I'm just pulling out the staples here so you can see. When you've picked out your frame at the thrift store, go ahead and take it apart because we only need the actual outside of the frame. So we're just pulling it apart here.
Did you make the floral wall design behind you?
Yes, I did. You noticed my paper flower behind it. It's made out of old book pages, so, and some reclaimed wood that I found. So
a lot of people joining from Ohio.
Oh,
Texas.
I used to live in Ohio, so welcome. I used to live in Toledo, Ohio. Now I'm back up in Canada. So okay, so we have our we're taking our frame apart here because we need just the outside of the frame. So we're taking this all apart. So we're going to take out any pictures, any mats that are on the inside, and the glass. We don't need the glass if your picture frame has glass in it. You can recycle that or you can save it for another project. I'm also going to take out this hanger on the end here. They've stapled it in here. So we're going to take this out because we don't want this to scratch your door once you get it hung up. So we're just going to pull this out. Alright, so once you've deconstructed your frame, you're just left with the outside of the frame, so the actual frame part. So since we want to make this for spring, we want to use a nice pretty color in paint. So I have, today I'm going to use some Country Chic paint, and I pulled out some pretty spring colors. I've got a pink one here, which is Vanilla Cupcake. Sorry, it's Vintage Cupcake. I've got this pretty purple that is Mermaid's Tail, and I've got this yellow. If you saw the Hometalk post, this is the color I used. It was this yellow, and it's called Creme Brulee, and that's the one we're going to use today. So you can paint this in whatever color you want, and it's a great project because you can really make it individual to whatever style, whatever color suits your house. So we're going to start with this Creme Brulee color, and it's this gorgeous kind of pale yellow color. You can see it in here. So we're just giving it a stir, mix it up. Thank you for joining us. If you're just popping in, we are using a thrift store frame from Goodwill or Value Village, one of those places, and we're going to turn it into kind of my own take on a spring wreath for your door. So instead of using traditional round wreaths. So, and that being said, I would love to know what you have made wreaths out of before. So if you've used something kind of unusual or different to make a wreath, I would love to know. That's going to be our question for today's broadcast. And if you want to type in and let us know, what you've made a wreath from that's a little bit different or unusual. Hometalk is going to give away a tote at the end of the broadcast, so be sure to let us know. And Brad will read off some of your answers too as we're going along. So, all right, so we've got our paint mixed here, and again, we're just using this gorgeous yellow color. It's called Creme Brulee. You can use any paint you want. You can find paint at the craft stores. You can find paint at your local stockists if you're looking for like home decor paint. And I'm going to use a technique on this frame called dry brushing. So I really don't want much paint on my brush because I want it to dry pretty quickly. So you can see I just have a little bit of paint on the brush, but it's enough that it's going to give us color. So I'm just going to start painting my frame here. And you want to make sure you get all sides of your frame because when it's hanging on your door, people will see, it depends, depending I guess where your front door is, people see it from all sides. So be sure to give your frame a good coat of paint. And we would love to have you hit the like button or the love and join us and tell us where you're coming from, where you're joining us from. And we'd love to know what you've used in the past to make wreaths.
We use PVC pipe ends to make a wreath. That's pretty cool.
Oh, that is cool. PVC, someone said they used PVC pipe, and that's really cool. I've never done that. That would be cool. I've seen some really neat projects with PVC pipe.
Somebody went out into the woods and used pine cones.
Oh, I love that. I love having nature in my house. Any sort of wood and pine cones and twigs and sticks. I love all of that. So, okay, so we're just going.
A wire hanger could work.
Yeah, that's a great one too. Especially there's so many of those old hangers around nowadays, and that's a great way to repurpose old wire hangers.
What type of brand and brush are you using?
The brush is a Fusion mineral paint brush. And it's one of their home decor brushes. You might have noticed it's round instead of a traditional brush. So I just like this. I do a lot of painting, and I find this holds a lot of paint. So
aluminum foil even. Wow.
Oh, aluminum foil for a wreath? That's really cool. Okay, so we've got our first coat of paint here. And we are going to leave this sit. So if you just, if you missed that part, I used a technique called dry brushing to paint the frame, so it was really just a tiny, tiny bit of paint on the brush so that it's just a thin layer and it'll dry really quickly. So we're going to let this first layer of paint dry. We're just going to pop our frame over here for a minute. And we're going to work on, just make sure you get that inside too, sorry. There we go. So while that's drying, we're going to work on our flower arrangement that's going to go in the middle. So again, you can use any kind of flowers that you want. So whatever colors you like, whatever colors match your house, that's the best part. You can individualize this to however you want it. So I have some colors that I like here. I have some yellow, some peach and yellow tulips, and some white flowers. I just love these colors. I just find they're so springy and bright and cheery. So that's what I'm going to use today. So we're going to take our flowers, and you can get these at Michael's, the dollar store. Thrift stores have flowers all the time at them too. So
can you use that brush with latex paint?
Yes, you can use this brush with latex. So you can use it with any kind of paint. All right. So we're going to take our flowers. Now we're going to make the flower bouquet that's going to go in the frame kind of in two stages. We want to make our initial bouquet that's going to hang from the frame, and then we're going to add some flowers to it later. So we want to start with kind of the base of the bouquet. So we're going to take, I'm just going to grab my scissors. I'm going to start, I want some pretty long flowers to go at the back. So I've chosen these yellow ones. They have some nice long stems on them. And I'm just going to cut them apart, or start to cut them here, and I'll bend them, from the bouquet that they came part of. And I got these ones at Michael's, so you can get these. These are pretty common. And if you're just tuning in, we're making a spring wreath for your door out of a reclaimed picture frame that you can pick up at Goodwill or any thrift store or garage sale. So
we got people from Dubai.
Oh wow, Dubai, that's far. All right, so what else have you used to make unusual wreaths from? We'd love to know. That's our giveaway question for today. Hometalk is going to give away a tote at the end of the broadcast, so be sure to let us know what you've made a frame out of. Okay, so I'm going to start with some long ones here, and I've got 4 here. I figured that will be kind of a nice base for the bouquet that I'm going to put together, and I want to kind of make sure all the stems are about the right. I'm going to keep them all at the same spot. I'll show you why in a minute. We're going to pick that up. So I also have these tulips which match. They're kind of this pretty peachy pink color. And I'm going to cut some of these off. Don't forget, we'd love you to hit the like and the love button and send us your love and Hometalk. So we are adding some of these. All right. And this can be as full or as simple as you want it to be, whatever your own preferences are for how you want this. And choose flowers that you love. This is a great project, especially I said at the beginning, we're up in Canada and our winter seems like it's never ending this year. So I'm ready for some spring color and some nice bright cheery yellows and pinks. Okay, so we've got some of our tulips here. We're going to lay those on top. And this doesn't have to be perfect. It can be, we're just kind of building our initial bouquet here. So you can see the tulips are a little bit shorter than the yellow. I want to make different layers to the bouquet as I'm building it. So, and then I've got some of these little white flowers. And there's just a bunch on the bunch. So I'm going to add a few of these in as well. And if you missed it, this is our initial bouquet. So we're going to build one bouquet that's going to hang from the wreath, and then we're going to add some flowers to kind of fill it in later. So I'm adding some of these white ones. And we're working on this while our frame, the initial paint for our frame is drying. So we're going to work on this and let that dry. Okay, so what else have you made your wreaths from? I love the pine cone and nature wreaths. Those are so pretty. Okay, so we've kind of got a good bouquet going here. We've got some. We want to make sure you've got kind of all lengths, so it fills out. So we've got the long, the medium, and the short. And this is going to be the first part of the bouquet. So to attach this bouquet together, because we want to have it in a clump to be able to hang it, we're going to use some of this. It's like a burlap ribbon almost, and you can pick this up at Michael's or Hobby Lobby if you're in the States. Some
people use ice skates and a wreath out of candy. That's
cool.
Awesome.
Candy.
Baseballs, garden hose.
I bet kids would love a wreath out of candy. Garden hose, that's awesome. And skates, that's cool too. I've seen those old sock forms too, and I've seen people make wreaths out of those. They're so pretty. Okay, so we're going to kind of gather our bouquet now, and you can just play with this however you want. I want to keep these 3 long yellow flowers on the bottom. So I'm going to hold them down there. And these flowers all have wire in them, you can see. So as I'm working on this or when I'm finishing up, I can bend them however I want so that I can kind of fill it in. And I like that, the flowers that have the wire in them. Okay, so we've kind of got a good bouquet here, and you can see I'm going to turn it around. I've got all the stems almost the same length down here, and I'm going to pinch them together. Okay, and this is what we're going to wrap this burlap ribbon around. So we're going to start, and I'm using my hot glue gun here, and I'm just going to put some, I got to push the glue in here. I'm just going to start with some glue on the back just to hold my ribbon in place as I'm twisting it around. Okay, so I'm going to start with the ribbon at the back here. And because I like really rustic kind of farmhousey things, I like this this burlap ribbon, this kind of jute ribbon. Just reminds me of kind of rusticy. So that's what I'm using, but you could use whatever ribbon you want, so you could make it really fun and exciting, and there's so many gorgeous ribbons out there now. Okay, so we're going to wrap this around, and you want to keep it pretty tight going around the stems, and you can see I'm wrapping this around and just catching all the ends of the stems in here. Don't worry about how your bouquet looks right now. We'll fix that in a minute and we'll spread it out. So we're going to keep twisting it here. I'm just adding a bit of glue every once in a while just to make sure my ribbon stays in place here. So you can see, here we go. So if you're just tuning in, we're making a wreath today for your front door out of a picture frame that you can, like an old picture frame that you can reclaim from somewhere. I've seen gorgeous, like really old wood frames, and they're beautiful. The ornateness on them is incredible. So you could use one of those too, if maybe you have a barn and you had some out sitting in your barn, or it's coming on spring and summer now, so garage sales are going to be around a lot, and you can definitely pick up frames for like $1 or $2 at garage sales. Okay, so you can see we're just twisting it around here, covering up the end of the stems. So not only does it make it look better, but this is also going to be what's going to hang this from the picture frame. So I'm just going to finish this up here. Okay, so that was my thin ribbon. Okay, so I'm just going to put a little glue on the end here and wrap that around. Be sure not to burn yourself. I've certainly done that many times. Okay, so I've got the end of the bouquet wrapped there, almost like a wedding bouquet, like you would wrap the bottom of it. And we're going to put that aside for a minute. I'm going to let the glue dry, and I'm going to check on my frame. So we painted this before, and you can see since I dry brushed this frame with very little paint on my brush, it is already dry to the touch. So it's not even wet at all anymore. So, and that was only about 15 minutes or so. So I'm going to put one more coat on, and I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to put just a little bit of paint on my brush here so that it's really hardly any paint at all. But you'll see, even after 2 coats, it's already looking opaque. So, and it's a great way to get the paint to dry quickly. So you kind of want to cover this. Again, you can do this however you like. So use whatever color you like, and if you like things more rustic, kind of like I do, kind of that farmhouse look, where you can take this and distress it a bit after the paint has dried, or you can leave it solidly opaque like this and have a nice, really pretty color on your frame. So you want to make sure you get the edges too down here. You want to make sure it's pretty uniform looking. If I were making this for my front door, I would paint the back too. We won't have time during our broadcast today to paint the back and have it dry, but I would probably paint the back too, just because you can see little bits of the inside of the frame when it's hanging. So to avoid that, you can just give the coat a back of paint as well. Okay, so we're going to let that finish drying, that last coat there. And that won't take long at all to dry. And if you were wondering if you missed that before, we're using, this one is a Country Chic brand paint. It's a Canadian paint company, and it's this beautiful creme brulee color. So it just completely reminded me of spring. So, okay, we'll let that dry here. And we're gonna switch back to our bouquet. So we just finished twisting our bouquet with the hemp twine, or the burlap twine and ribbon. So we're gonna spread it out a little bit. We kind of wanna make the flowers, we wanna kind of keep them in layers. So we're gonna keep these yellow ones. They're a little bit longer at the back. You can see they're kind of spreading out here. And because all these flowers have wire stems, it's really easy to be able to shape my bouquet the way I want it to, so the way I want it to look. So I'm just going to move these around. Need a few tulips on the other side here. So this is going to be the base of the bouquet that we're using for our frame. Okay, so we've got, whoop, one of my tulips popped off here. Okay, so we're going to start with this, and then we're going to add flowers as we go. So we've got this base here, this really pretty color mixture. Okay, so there's that. Now, to hang your frame, I'm going to use the same ribbon that I used to wrap the end here, only it's wider. So you can see it's a nice wide ribbon here. Okay, and I need, depending on your door and where you want it to hang, you're going to want probably a couple of feet of this wide, thick ribbon. Okay, so because we're going to hang the wreath in here, and we want enough to be able to knot the end. So you probably want 2.5 feet of this ribbon. And I'm just going to cut the ends off. If you cut them at an angle, this ribbon won't fray, so you can do that. Okay. And so to hang it, we're going to take our frame. It's not quite dry, but we're going to move on, and we're going to just loop this through. And I really like the look of it hanging on an angle, so I'm going to loop it through and have it hang on an angle like this. Okay, so then I'm just going to tie the end. I'm going to put a knot in the end. And that's all you're going to need just so you can hang your wreath later on your door. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to attach the bouquet so that it's hanging inside of this. So we want it to, so I'm going to put a little dab of glue in here, inside the ribbon, just to hold it in place while I'm working with it. So I'm just going to put that there. And I'm going to take a little X-Acto knife. You can use scissors, you can use an X-Acto knife, whatever is easy for you. And I want to make a little slit into the ribbon. So I'm just going to show you if I can do this without cutting myself. I'm a bit of a klutz, so let's hope that, maybe I'll turn this so Brad can see it this way. So we're just going to slice down here a little bit. And I just want to make a hole into this ribbon. Okay, so you can see I've kind of sliced it apart and there's a bit of a hole in there. Okay, so that's what we are going to put our bouquet end through. So I'm going to take the end of my bouquet here, and remember these are wires, so I want to twist it. So I've made kind of like that fish hook on the end of it. So we've got our fish hook on the end here, and we're actually going to pop that fish hook end through that hole in the burlap ribbon. So we're just going to pop it through there. And then I'm going to pick this up here, and I'm going to put some glue on my frame here. And we're just going to hot glue that bouquet in place. My glue isn't, oh, there we go. Okay. So you can see the end of my bouquet here, and I'm just going to hot glue it in place. I'll pick it up here so we can see. And then the ribbon will come back over top of that. And if you've missed any of these directions, this is a post on Hometalk, so you can check out on Hometalk. You can find all of the step-by-step directions in case you want to go back and do this later. So you can see my bouquet is attached to the frame, but you can't see it because it's covered by the wide ribbon that's hanging it here. Okay. So we have the basis of our wreath now. We've got our frame that's painted, we've got a way to hang it, and we've got our starting of our bouquet here. But I like really full bouquets. So once we have this part done, we're going to start adding some more flowers to it. If you like it like this, then you can absolutely stop here and have this be your the bouquet that you have on it. But I'm going to add it. This frame is pretty big, so I'm going to add a little bit more here to it. So I think I'll add maybe some more tulips. So I'm going to cut a few tulips. And I'll show you how easy it is to add flowers. Once you're at this stage, you can kind of keep playing with it and add it however you want. Add these flowers in. Don't forget to tell us what you would make a wreath out of, or what you have made a wreath out of, because we're going to give away a Hometalk tote shortly, and we'll let you know who the winner is just before we end. I'm just getting my tulips off here. You could cut these with wire cutters too. There we go. Okay, so I have a few extra tulips. Oh, and I have some of these pretty white ones that I haven't used yet that I'll put in. And then I think that will be good. So I've got them spread out here. And to add flowers, So if I want to add this one, say here, to kind of fill it in a little bit, all I'm going to do is put a little dab of glue on the end of the flower stem. And then up through the back, kind of make sure it's out of sight. So you're just going to kind of fit it in the back like that. Find where you like it, and then just leave it. It'll adhere to whatever's underneath there. So the stems and the leaves it'll adhere to. And you can see already it's starting, as you add these, it's going to fill in. So I'm going to add some more tulips over here. And again, try and put these towards the back so that they're stuck to something and you won't see the glue coming out. Okay. I'm going to add these two really pretty white ones that I haven't used yet. And they're nice and long, so I can use these to kind of fill in that bottom section.
They use a wagon wheel.
Oh, a wagon wheel.
That's
I love
cool.
that. That's cool. Somebody said they use a wagon wheel for a wreath.
Yeah, and mason jar rings too.
Oh, that's cool. I've made pumpkins out of mason jar rings, but that's a great idea to make a wreath. So I'm just adding these white ones in the bottom here to just give it some length to my wreath.
Flip-flops for a summer wreath.
Oh, that's great. Flip-flops. I love that, especially if you, for the summer, if you live somewhere nice and tropical or coastal, that would be perfect. So you can see there, I'm just adding it in at the back. And it doesn't have to go all the way up into the bouquet stem. As long as it's attached to something back there, then the glue will dry and it'll hold it in place. Okay, there we go. And if you need any extra glue or want to stick things down, you can put it back there, and then all these leaves and grassy pieces will cover it up.
Can an old purse work?
An old purse, like for a wreath?
Yeah.
Sure, absolutely. You could use the purse handle to hang it, and then you could fill the purse with flowers coming out of it. That's a great idea. I love that. And maybe I'll add one more bit of white here. So I'm just going to add one more piece down here. Like we said before, the best part about this is you can make it look whatever your taste is, you can totally tailor this to your taste. So whatever colors you're really drawn to, whatever colors your house is, or whatever flowers you really like in spring, you can tailor this to those colors. Okay. So every once in a while, pick it up and just check and make sure that that's looking the way you want it to. You can see this. That's about as full as I want it. I don't want to take away from the frame, but I do want to have a nice full bouquet of flowers. So there's just one last thing I'm going to do here before my wreath is done. And like I said before, so this paint is completely dry now. So again, that's how fast even that second coat of paint went, or dried. Because I like really rusticy and farmhouse and things that are aged, I'm just going to give it a little bit of sanding to the frame. So I just have a coarse sandpaper here, and you can use whatever kind of sandpaper you want. And I just want to give the frame just a little light kind of scruff up here so that it makes it look really old, like it's been hanging somewhere for years. And I'm going to just distress the frame a bit here. And whenever you're distressing something, whether it's furniture or frames, whatever it is, always stick to the high points for distressing. So you don't want to get into the grooves, because if natural distressing occurs, it occurs on whatever's high. So like high places on a dresser, chair handles. So I'm just running this along the top, these high lines on my frame. The corners. And I'll finish the other two. So you can see already the difference down here, up here. And I just like that look. You don't have to distress your frame if you don't like that look. Just going to give it a little distressing over here, especially on the corners too. Things, if you saw something from 100 years ago, usually the corners are worn down, and that's where it would get that natural wear. So that's what I like. I like it to look authentic and real. I'm just going to give this last side a little distressing here. There you go. So this is your last chance. Tell us what you would make a wreath with, and we're going to do a drawing in a minute.
Oh, they made one with trains and tracks, and hello from Denmark.
Denmark, hi. It's nice to see you. In case you missed it, we're coming from Ottawa, Canada today. So we are live, probably north of most of you. And we are so ready for spring that we're making a spring wreath out of a picture frame today. So That's what we made, and hello, and train tracks, by the way. Brad just said the train tracks and train. That's an awesome idea. That would be so, I have a friend and her boys love trains, so that would be awesome for their door. All right, so I'm just going to hold it up here so you can see this. So there's our picture frame wreath. Didn't take very long, it's just a few easy steps, and it's just a different take on those wreaths that you see all the time if you're looking for something a little different or a little unusual. I love the frame on its side like this. It just gives it some dynamics to it, and it just gives it a different look. So
Can you turn it?
Turn it
To the back.
Oh, yes, absolutely.
There you go.
So there's what it looks like from the back. And you could even turn the frame, so if you don't like the sideways look of the frame, you could turn it so that you hung it, you know, from this part if you wanted it like a straight frame. If this is too much for you to hang it this way, you could easily put the ribbon either this way or this way and do it like a straight frame. I just like this for something different, so keep it a little on an angle like that.
Huh. Baby shoes work?
Sorry?
Can baby shoes work?
Sure. You could use baby shoes. You could use any kind of shoes. That would be great. You could hang baby shoes from a ribbon, tie them with a ribbon, and then put flowers coming out of them as well. That's an awesome idea.
And the winner is Kimberly Parker.
Oh, Kimberly Parker, if you're still watching, you are the winner. We hope you're watching and you've won a tote from Hometalk. Thank you so much for joining us today. This is, again, a picture frame wreath out of a Goodwill frame. And all the directions are on the Hometalk website. If you missed any or you want to go back and see pictures of the specific directions and take your time to do this, pop over to Hometalk. They're all there. And be sure to hit subscribe on the Hometalk Live video feed because you won't want to miss their live videos. And there's another DIY video coming up tonight at 5 o'clock, so be sure to join them. Thank you so much. Again, this is Lisa from Recreated Designs, and I'm so happy to be back with you again today, and thank you for tuning in. If you have any questions, feel free to email us or leave a comment on the Hometalk page, and we'll be sure to answer them. Thank you.